Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have the one and only set number 76131, the LEGO Marvel Avengers Endgame Avengers Compound Battle. This contains 699 pieces, retails for $99.99 in the US, and contains a decent selection of figures with a total of 4 minifigures, 2 big figs, and a nano fig. The set contains one instruction booklet, which is actually tiny compared to the last several $100 plus sets that I've been building. For example, the Sanctum Sanctorum instruction booklet is like twice the size, and approximately, I think it's thicker too, so like, yeah, kind of a small instruction booklet there, but, you know, whatever. And the one other thing that is special, I normally don't talk about brick separators, but this is the first time I've gotten a teal brick separator, which started appearing in sets in 2019, when the set was released in May. But there are a total of 10 sets so far that have included these, and usually I think the reason they've decided to include teal brick separators in some sets is just to help with the contrast. I don't know, I guess teal stands out better than an orange piece would in the set. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but that's their reasoning for it. And once the set is all built up, you get, you know, a pretty decent looking battle scene with, you know, Thanos and the Hulk out here, as well as you do have an Outrider. You're kind of lacking a little bit on the bad guy's side, but you do get a decent display, I think, overall. However, if we strip away all the figures and start taking a look at just the build, you'll notice that mainly by removing the big figs in Captain Marvel, we actually remove a lot of the bulk of the set and a lot of the displayability, really. Like, I don't know, this area right here looks kind of cool, but the rest of it's kind of plain and simple. I guess they rush it. The rest of it's not bad, but I think that the figures really are a large amount of the display value in this set, which is a little bit unusual. You'll notice that there's this helicopter here. We'll take a look at this again in a second, but it does fit right onto the landing pad on the roof of the little garage area, and it is just a helicopter. And if we also remove from inside the garage this little car Jeep thing, then this becomes, you know, some empty space inside there, and this is the building by itself. So the vehicles actually get built first, but once we get to the building, this is the first section of it that we build, and this is kind of they got the conference room on the second floor, and the bottom floor is just kind of the entrance, and then in there's a little something special. But the door, you know, opens like a normal door. There's this little keypad on the outside, and something I do want to point out is that my keypad piece is misprinted, if you can tell. The red is not exactly where it's supposed to be. The red dots are supposed to be in the center of the button, and the digits up there are supposed to line up with the holes in the blackness, and that really doesn't line up at all. And yeah, you do get an extra of that tile, but my extra was also misprinted just in the opposite direction. So I don't know if they're just having real big issues printing this piece, or if I just got super unlucky with 2 completely badly misprinted ones. I'll probably request a replacement of that. We got a lot of glass going on in the front of this building, like the whole front face is glass. I do like how these are kind of hinged to create a little bit of a more dynamic look. Like, that's the one building technique in this set that actually makes it visually interesting. Like, the rest of the building is just very, very simple. Like, down here, this bottom floor, we got this wall, which doesn't have one, but around the other side as well, this is just panel pieces and a door. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces make this whole half of the wall there. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very simple to build, and I wish that this had been removable so that I could more easily just rotate this around. But to get into the bottom floor, you can't remove the top floor, which is a little bit unfortunate, but there's not really a ton to see down here. In this bottom area, all that we really got going on is this this little computer display, and that can be removed, pulled out. We got a sticker on the screen there that shows you the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones, and it's just got a keyboard print there. And this can, be rotated around so you can have a figure on any side of it, really. Like if we toss Nebula in here, Nebula can be doing some Infinity Stone researching. And then over here at the actual entrance, you've got this little keypad, and maybe Nebula wants to go in and just look at the Infinity Gauntlet, so you can beep beep beep, and then it'll pull down the lasers. And if you want to, you could even pull out this whole Technic assembly, just to make it look like the lasers are gone, or you could just have it folded down and just pretend that your figures can just walk over them now. Either one, works. But then you'll see that we have the Gauntlet in there. But the Gauntlet's kind of hard to get to in its current state. Also, this brick with the stud on either side just acts to prevent this from being able to go in all the way. But yeah, it's still hard to get access to that Infinity Gauntlet. So on this wall, they have this handle, and you can just pull that, and it'll pull out this whole section. And it has the lasers on the other side, which you were able to see from the exterior of the building. You're able to see through and just see the lasers and the Gauntlet, if you looked correctly. But we'll look at this Gauntlet when we get to Thanos. It does come with the Power Stone and the Time Stone, which the Time Stone is cool to get because, if you didn't get the Sanctum Sanctorum last year, you wouldn't have a Time Stone. But this was from the $20 set, and I kind of wish they'd picked like the Reality Stone or the Mind Stone, because those were two of the harder to get ones from last year. And specifically the Mind Stone, because that set retired quickly. Or the Reality Stone would have been good, because this way, if you want to get all the stones, you have to get the other set that comes with the Infinity Gauntlet. So, but that can just be removed. It just sits on there, and it has the Technic pin inserted into it to fit on there. But yeah, cool to get an Infinity Gauntlet. We'll look at that with Thanos when we get to the minifigures. But yeah, the second floor of this area is a conference room, and you can, seat all your Avengers figures there on the table. And you got Ant-Man just standing on the table, because, you can do that. There's an Avengers logo printed on a 2x2 round tile, which, they use in a couple of the sets from the Endgame wave. And, oops, I just knocked off the one surprise there while trying to remove Iron Man's cup. But this is kind of goofy, but they show that on the box. You can just have the Hulk sitting up there, just casually sitting in on the conversation. But, it's a decent little conference room, and they do kind of use this conference room in Civil War as well. But on the wall over there, there is one more sticker. It just shows the Outriders attacking, and that's kind of supposed to be a computer screen display. Very, very simplistic, so they just pulled it off with a sticker, but I think that's okay. There are a couple other hidden surprises, including that you can remove the table, and inside you will find some weapons. You got a blaster and one of these slightly more realistic looking pistols. Yeah, both of those are just hidden in there. This piece is not super common. They don't do that all the time, so it's nice to get one of those. And this is just held on by 3 studs, so it stays on pretty securely, unless you want to remove it, which I think, that's always good. And last but not least, for features here, is this little revolving door. The figures like to stick to their seats for some reason. But if we want to go outside, we can just turn this around. And then, of course, when Nebula gets outside, she is facing backwards, but she can walk backwards, that's okay. And we can just walk all the way over here until we get to the landing pad. And this is where the helicopter can be found normally, and it does have an Avengers logo stickered on a 6x6 tile. Before we move over to that second building, though, I do want to show you just this wall here one more time, because it does have this cool Avengers logo stickered on there. That's kind of cool. And On the roof of this building, we have this turret, and this turret can spin 360 degrees. It's built on one of these shield pieces that they first introduced in Star Wars, one of those battle packs. And this is just spring-loaded missiles, so all you have to do is push down on the back. However, they really don't want to push down unless you're either holding this at an angle, and then you want to shoot downwards, or, you know, as you saw, you have to be angled all the way backwards, which is slightly unfortunate. If you do want to shoot down, though, you could stick one spring-loaded missile in each direction, and then you could shoot both ways at once. Woo. Yeah. But, you know, it's cool to have some little ground defense. You could use this against Thanos, shoot him, and do whatever. Over, moving this way, you know, as we saw, we have that helipad, and, you know, there is a little bit of room on the roof for figures to stand around it while the helicopter is there. In front of that, we have more defenses. We've got some stud shooters, and, you know, you get the two of them that each shoot 2 studs, and they can be angled up and down as well. And these ones are a little bit easier to shoot at any angle, but they have a more limited range. And down below, we do have some random accessories here, including a black crowbar and a welding thing. A window, which, you know, this wall looks pretty good. They did a decent job making it not super plain. Door opens same way, and moving to the front, do have this garage door element, which can roll up and down. These, I think, are new in this color, if I remember correctly. And in front of that, we've just got some stickers, which kind of give you a little bit of the grating texture. And, you know, the car can just drive up real easily, because it is nice and smoothed out. And, you know, you can just open and close this. A very simple feature. And we do have this one little radar dish, which can angle up and down, but there's nothing really special about that. You could maybe see it as a laser if you wanted to. And inside the actual garage, there's literally nothing at all. There's these 2 little slopes which act as stops so you don't go too far, or you could accidentally just drive over them and escape the garage. But yeah, really no detail inside there at all, which is maybe a little unfortunate, and maybe it would have been nice to see the tools actually inside the garage, like over here where the car is not going to be. But again, having these studs does give you a little bit of space to pose figures around the car if you wanted that. And there is this little area that connects these 2 with tiles, so even though the bridge above it is connected with pins, they're actually built over, so this is designed to not be removable. You can see this seam right here is where it wants to allow you to pull them apart, but the tiles on the base prevent that, as well as this little railing here. It's kind of unfortunate, as I would have liked to see this be able to detach and reattach, but as a result of, you know, this bridge being connected, it actually is very sturdy, and you can pick up the whole thing by one side, and this will not, you know, it won't even flex at all. It doesn't look like it wants to break whatsoever, which I guess is good for play and transportation. Speaking of good for play, is this good for play? I mean, maybe. I feel like it's kind of useless in a superhero setting. I don't know how many kids are going to necessarily want a helicopter to play with their superheroes with, unless it was like Black Widow or Hawkeye, but neither of them are included here. Of the figures in the set, we have, you know, Hulk, who's not going to want to drive a helicopter. We've got Captain Marvel and Iron Man, who can both fly. So I guess this is all for Nebula, but I don't know, seems like 2 vehicles is a lot for Nebula. I don't know, maybe. I'm not going to judge. Maybe kids want a helicopter for it. I don't know. It feels a little bit useless to me. I guess, you know, maybe Ant-Man too. But inside we've got that 1 sticker, which has a little bit of a control panel. That's cool, I guess. And then there's the little tan to suggest a seat. And you just sit your figure in just like that. The canopy doesn't close all the way around her, so it's another one of those weird helicopters. We got these little stickers on the sides. I'm not sure what those are supposed to represent, but it kind of just makes the helicopter look armored, I guess. And there's a fire extinguisher, because you always got to carry one of those, as well as a clip on the other side to hold Nebula's sword, which, you know, it's good, I guess, having a place for all the accessories. And I believe this is new in dark blue, the helicopter base, but the rest of it I don't know, this is a really kind of awkward helicopter. There's no back propeller. There's just these 4 wings, which that's a little bit of a strange design, something I don't see often, which I guess makes it different, and you know, it's good that we're not just getting a standard helicopter. There's an Avengers logo back there, which that's a cool sticker as always, and we've got the rotors which spin around like that, and we do have this 6 stud shooter on the front, which you can just spin around. It just freely rotates with the 6 studs, and it'll just shoot those off one by one by one by one by one, etc. And I guess if you wanted to tack on Ant-Man, you could stick him here, or like maybe down here on the blades. You can't. Oh, you could also stick him there. That's a good spot, better for him. So yeah, if Ant-Man needs transportation somewhere, you can do that. You do also have these 2 engine outtakes. I don't know, this is an awkward thing. I guess it works fine for kids who want a helicopter to play with their superheroes with, but I don't know, that just feels a little bit weird to me. I like this truck a bit more. It feels more finished and sorta slightly better detailed, and the building experience is definitely more interesting. From the front, you know, it uses one of these newer grill style pieces, and that kind of gives it a little bit of a rugged look. It looks a little bit weird from straight side on, but any angle where you're seeing the headlights through it I think works pretty well. And you could remove that if you wanted to make it look a little bit less, I don't know, rugged, I guess. The wheels are a little big and the tires stick out a lot. I really hated that when they did it on the Lego Batman movie Harley Quinn Cannonball Truck Attack. This I think is slightly better, but I would have preferred different wheels that don't, you know, be this big. I don't know, they just stick out a ton from a top-down view, but this is supposed to be a little bit more of a rugged, off-road, heavy-duty vehicle, so I guess it's acceptable. I kind of like the shaping on the sides. It's kind of cool with the Avengers logo in the center, and, you know, same thing on the other side, obviously. You got the smaller wheel arches. Those are good. Nice to see them used there, and I don't think I have many of those, so, you know, at the very least, if I were to tear this down for parts, I'd have some interesting wheel arches. On the back, we do have this one little targeting screen with the 2 little stud shooters, which don't really want to shoot too far off. And you can sit a figure here, as well as have one driving, but you kind of don't have enough figures for that, unless you want to stick Ant-Man in there driving. Well, he's probably pretty good at that, you know. Or you could even fit 3 figures here if you put Ant-Man on the side, you know, a figure like Nebula driving here. And then you'd probably have to get another set, like maybe the Quinjet, and put Hawkeye or Black Widow on the back, but then it would make sense. And I kind of like the fact that you can have Ant-Man standing there, and that's made possible by the fact that there are the 2 rows of studs that are not filled up, because these are done up with brackets to provide maximum room on the interior. And you do also get 2 of these spoiler pieces in dark blue, which I think we got those with the fabulous Lightning McQueen and the largest Cars 3 set, but I think they might have been printed. Either way, these aren't a super common element, and it's nice to get them again in dark blue. And from the back, we have a license plate, and that's about it. I will note that I did have to apply all the stickers, like, really close to one border. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick up the edge of the stickers there, but basically all the stickers in this set, the whole sheet, was printed offset for me. I was able to make it work perfectly fine because, you know, they're normally when you apply stickers, you leave a little bit of a border. I basically just left no border on one side, the side that, you know, was printed off towards, and leaving extra space, but nothing was cut off, so it worked out fine in the end. But if it had been any more extreme, we would have had a little bit of sticker problems there. So here we have Thanos, and, you know, this Thanos figure is pretty alright. It comes with a hammer, which the top of the hammer spins really fast because there's no friction in that joint. I don't know if that's intentional, but he didn't really wield a hammer like this at all in either movie, at least not that I remembered. But, you know, it is cool to get a weapon that's somewhat big fig sized. The detailing on his body gets the armor better, I think, than last year's version of Thanos. You do have the same armored mold, which isn't super accurate. This is a little bit too gold here, or I don't know, if they'd done it more metallic-like, it could have worked, but it's a little bit too pearl in color for that to work. I like the printing on the sidearms with the more shiny gold. The last one had just plain arms because he wasn't really wearing the armor, except he was, because they didn't want to make a new mold for him to be helmetless. This one is smiling, which is definitely more appropriate, and you do have the printing up there. This Thanos I think is better than the previous Thanos, but I don't think it's the greatest Thanos that they could possibly have made. You can remove his hand and replace it with the Infinity Gauntlet, and that gets a pretty cool look. You get the Time and Power Stones I mentioned earlier. A little bit unfortunate as the only two other Infinity War sets I'd had were the ones with the Power and Time Stones. So I'm still at 2 out of 6 for the Infinity Stones. But I may get 2 more sets, but if anybody has a Mind Stone that they want to spare, that'd be pretty fancy. I'm just kidding, but yeah, I don't know if I'll end up getting a Mind Stone. I might have to BrickLink one, and Reality Stone I'll get if I see that set cheap enough. But I do have plans to get the Hulkbuster if it, stays on cheap clearance, and I'll probably get the $10 set eventually now, just because I have this Gauntlet. Overall, I think that this Thanos is an alright figure. I do actually really like this Hulk, though. I think that this is probably my favorite version of the MCU Hulks. There is a little bit of detail lacking, especially in the feet. The previous Hulks had toes molded in there, but they decided that was unnecessary apparently, and decided to go with just the even more generic Big Fig body mold. But it's okay. There's a little bit of subtle printing on his pants there. That works fine, and I think that these pants are less visually distracting than the bright purple ones from the Age of Ultron Hulk. From the back, he looks fine. The lines of the pants are pretty clear cut there. They're still kind of like fading across the edges, which is good. The arms are just olive green, and the face is the big upgrade here. He's got just a slight smile here. Like he's happy to be smashing stuff, and you have the same kind of hair design as the Ultron Hulk. And I think that this is a pretty good Big Fig overall, and I'm happy to finally get an MCU Hulk. I had a previous Hulk, but it was just the one from the comics Avengers Assemble or whatever. So it was like the lime green. And if you wanted to, you could even give Hulk an Infinity Gauntlet if you felt like it. I don't know why you do that, but it does fit on his hand the same as it fits on Thanos. But probably makes more sense to leave that for the bad guys. I mean, maybe Hulk has to wear it to get it back to the compound. He's gotta, you can't carry gauntlets like that. Look, it's got no attachments. You can't clip onto it, so he has to wear it. And also in this set, Captain Marvel gets the set of power blast splat things, and she's got these two that kind of make her look like she's flying. I love how they get rid of the dish piece here, because I recently got the Sanctum Sanctorum, and the Iron Man blasts are cool, but they don't allow him to stand up, so I had to kind of rig up a thing that would hold him flying in front, and that looks cool, but it would have been nice to get something like this so you could just have him standing. These are actually built up a little bit more interestingly in the fact that they use the smaller versions of those with a cone and then a hollow stud, and then they attach the big blast at the end. So it's almost like she's shooting at Thanos, and it's reflecting off of, actually, to make this more accurate looking, it's like he's blocking her energy with the Gauntlet, which he does that with Scarlet Witch, I think, in Infinity War, but I don't know if he did that specifically, a specific move with Captain Marvel. But yeah, I like those, and also you do get 2 each of these 2 things with that pack of blast pieces for Captain Marvel, and neither of them are used, but you do have them extra, as always, when you get the full set of splat things. And we do have the Captain Marvel figure up close here. This is actually identical to the one from the Captain Marvel movie set, which It's fine. It's not too different, and I understand why they didn't use the endgame version of her, because, you know, that would spoil her appearance, and they probably didn't even get that concept art or anything. So it's okay, but I do wish they would have at least upgraded the Captain Marvel figure from the movie version and given her dual molded legs here. I think that, you know, if they did that, it would have been forgivable for, you know, them just reusing the previous figure, or the previous movie's suit. I feel like that would have, you know, made it a little bit more more interesting and worthwhile in the set. But, you know, it is fine, and I'm glad to get this character. I didn't get the Captain Marvel set, and I probably won't. I think the detailing on the torso is pretty good all around. You know, you do have the subtle black lines in there, and her face prints are okay. This one is definitely appropriate for her solo movie. And, yeah, I mean, you know, she looks pretty serious there, and she does have the slightly, you know, happier smile on the other side. But this is a reuse of an existing face. I think it's in Urso's, right? And they also use it for Black Widow and the Infinity War sets. Yeah, this is an alright figure. I'm glad to get a Captain Marvel, but I do wish they had, you know, brought up the level of detail just a little bit to put it in this $100 set. And then we have Iron Man Mark 85, and in this set he does not get the set of power and blast splat pieces, which I'm okay with. I kind of prefer Iron Man having just the 2 cylinders on the bottom. I think that works better, and it does allow him to stand just about anywhere. You do also get these power blast pieces, which, you know, just shoot off by pushing down on the tail, and they'll come snapping out of his hands. And, you know, those are kind of cool. But I do think that the detailing this time for the Mark 85, which is exclusive to this set, is pretty good. I think I still prefer the Mark 50, but this has a lot of the same types of detailing as that suit did. And, you know, this suit basically just is that with a little bit more gold. I think there's a little bit too much gold in the arms there. I would like to see maybe dual molding, red on the top and gold on the bottom. I think that's how it was, right? And, you know, or maybe just red arms with a lot of gold printing on the arms. But I think that this is okay. It's a decent compromise, you know, between just making a figure that looks like the suit and, you know, making it super perfectly detailed. I think that the torso and leg printing kind of make up for the arms being a little bit off, but there's a good amount of gold on the legs. I like the leg printing a lot. The torso print is really good on the front and the back, and the printing on the face, at least on my copy, and I've seen on a couple other copies, is a little bit blurry up and down. I don't think you'll be able to pick it up super well on camera. It doesn't want to focus in much closer, but you can kind of maybe make it out. And the helmet is the same as the Mark 50, and, you know, it just pops up like normal Iron Man helmets. Here's Nebula. She gets a katana and a quantum suit here. The quantum suit is nothing special because it appears in, I think, every single endgame set except the Hall of Armor. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy, but they did update her face for this set. I believe in the past it's been, like, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was a blue head with purple printing down the center and the face there, and then they inverted the colors on the next one, I think, for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then this time they've brought in the Dark Azure with the regular blue on the front, and I think that this is probably the best version they've done so far of that face print. I kind of wish they'd done the one other detail on the head that, you know, is kind of important. I kind of wish they'd gotten a little bit more prominent there, but I guess this kind of brings it in. I'm not going to go too far into that for spoiler reasons. And I do wish they'd been able to print that all the way through the side. It's a little bit distracting here. I know they've done it for some figures in the past. I'm assuming it's very hard for them to do and, you know, relatively costly. And that's why they don't do it super often. But I think they've only done it on, like, the China-made figures. Particularly that Zane, Tournament Zane from that one Ninjago pack where they did the 360-degree head printing. Again, would have been great to see that here, but I kind of understand why they didn't, because I'm pretty sure their technology can't handle that yet. But, you know, good figure, I guess. Nice that they went for more accuracy on the head. I know with some figures. Throughout the endgame sets, they didn't even bother changing the heads at all. And this is probably going to be a little bit worse looking quality just because, you know, it's a really, really, really tiny piece. But hopefully you can make it out well enough. We have the micro version of Ant-Man. And this is a nano figure, specially printed to look like Ant-Man in his quantum suit. We had gotten previously this other version of Ant-Man as a micro figure in its regular suit from the Civil War airport battle set. But, you know, this the quantum suit version is pretty good. The helmet printing is updated a little, and obviously the body is different, and it's molded on a different color. I don't know, I like both of these micro figures, but I do think I prefer the one from Civil War. But this one is fine, and the best part is, you do get one as an extra piece, so you actually get two in the set. And last, and very likely least, is the Outrider. There's a single one included in the set, which, I don't know, when you get, like, 5 heroes, and 1 Thanos, and 1 Outrider, kind of feels like you could use some more Outriders to balance out the bad guys there. But, I mean, it makes sense, because I already had a decent amount of figures in the set. But it's nice that they threw at least one of these guys in, just to give you a little bit more conflict there. He had some back printing on his head. The printing on the torso is good. He does have the forearm piece, which is the same thing that they used for Iron Spider. Just for these skeleton arms on the outside. To kind of give it the 6-armed look. And there's the back printing on the torso that is hidden when you have the arms on. And, I don't know, these figures are fine. They're nothing crazy. And you'll get them in a lot of sets if you buy a bunch of Marvel stuff, so you'll be tired of them by the time you get this one probably, unless you got this set first. But I think they did fine, and you know, I'm okay with getting them here. I do think as a whole this set is a decent model. The compound is maybe a tad larger than I was expecting based on images, but smaller definitely than I would expect for a $100 set. I don't know. This whole garage, there's really nothing to do with it besides keep a vehicle inside it. I don't know. I wish there was a little bit more detail or more features inside there. Having the 2 big figs is actually better than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to care about Thanos or Hulk enough to justify the seemingly $30 that it packed on, because I don't know, this does have 700 pieces, and I'm gonna be honest, it kind of feels like maybe remove the big figs and it would be a $70 set for sure. Maybe with them I can see 80. I don't see 100 at all in this. I don't know, for 100 I would say the Sanctum Sanctorum Showdown is way better, and it also includes a big fig as well, so you know, this doesn't even have 2 big figs over that. The figure selection here is fine. I don't think any of them are the standout figures of all of Marvel ever. Like with the Sanctum Sanctorum again, I know I'm comparing this to that a lot, but they were the $200 sets released 1 year apart from each other, so they do have a right to be compared. And I think that, you know, the Iron Spider, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange figures in there were really fantastic and some of the best Marvel figures ever. This Iron Man is good, but I don't think it's as good as the Mark 50, and I think a lot of that just has to do with the plain gold arms. I don't know. They kind of create a little bit more contrast than I would have liked. I think the Hulk is a great figure. Captain Marvel could have been better, but it's nice to see that character again for anyone who didn't get that movie set. Nebula's okay, but I'm not a fan of the quantum suits. Ant-Man, again, I do just like nanofigs, so I'm still happy about this Ant-Man, and happy that it is different, but again, I don't care too much about quantum suits. And Thanos is a better Thanos, and I'm happy to get a Thanos. I just, again, would have preferred one without the armor and without with a different mold than having this helmet. But overall, I do think that this set is okay. Minor endgame spoilers. This is the only one of the sets that is actually relevant to the movie at all. So if you wanted a movie-relevant endgame set, this is probably your best bet, and it's the only one that watching the movie made me excited to build the set. None of the others would have done that for me. But, yeah, I don't know. This is not as good as the Sanctum Sanctorum Showdown, but I still think it's a decent set. However, it would not be my first pick from the endgame wave. I would probably prefer the Hall of Armor, the Quinjet, or the War Machine Buster over this still. Like if you were to get the Hall of Armor and War Machine Buster, it's about equal to the retail price of this set. I would probably pick those two over this. But if you get this on discount for like $70 or less, I think that this is really good. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.